I am Dignitas Stress, I'm joined by Metas, and we are headed into game number 2 between British Tea Time and Animate Esports.
Yes, indeed we are. If you missed the first game, it did go a 1-0 in favour of British Tea Time. It was quite close for some points, and they did have a minor collapse for about all of 30 seconds around Baron Pit when Nautilus was caught, but other than that, it was fairly smooth sailing for British Tea Time, Stress, and they look like they're definitely, bringing that revenge back from the I-Series final.
Yeah, as I kept saying during that game, they just seemed a little bit more composed than they had been before. Animate's still looking fairly strong though. I mean, they started the comeback, but unfortunately Cook My Socks Ari is just a little bit good when they can 5-on-3 under a Baron as well. So managed to make sure that game didn't slip away from them, but Animate are going to try and bounce back here in game number 2.
Yeah, special shout out to Smokey Lemon as well at the Baron fight. He finished on, I want to say 6-1, but I'm not sure, so don't quote me on that. But he finished in really nice terms and played a very strong Varus, so definitely a shout out to him. I'm actually in the spectator spot this time, so I'm not going to be horribly lagging or behind like before. So the bans are Elise, Zac, Zed, and Thresh. Thresh is definitely a strong support character. Last time around Eurostar got Thresh, this time around they're going to be banning that one out. Again though, this is pretty interesting, Stress. They've banned the Twisted Fate. They're not fearing the Ahri.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I can see why they're banning the Twisted Fate. Twisted Fate's just a strong champion all around, unless they're deciding to first pick Ahri. That's the other way you can shut out a champion from a team, so we may see that. I'm still waiting for the 6th ban on my screen. I wonder, have you got it yet in the spectator? It is Diana. Yeah. Interesting. I know that Mayhem does play a good Diana, so maybe we'll see the Ahri pick up, and I'll let you take the lead a little bit here, since you're just a bit ahead of me.
Yeah, so Diana was the 6th ban. They have locked in the Kha'Zix straight away, so no massive amounts of hesitation there. LeBlanc has been picked up for Eurostar. He hasn't locked it in yet alongside Alessandra, so of course with 45 seconds to go, the world is the oyster in terms of choice. They can move it to whatever they want. Looks like they are flipping between a few, and quite interesting though. With Kha'Zix first picked though, Stress, I would assume he's going to be mid. He can be played top. I have seen him played in the jungle as well, but I would assume mid. So picking your mid laner first, is that wise?
It used to be not too wise because you just get counterpicked straight away, but Kha'Zix is a champion that can be a little bit versatile, can play in the top lane, can play in the mid lane. We'll see exactly where they go, especially when you're picking up a champion. For instance, if Twisted Fate was available, that's a very strong first pick. You want to pick those champions that are just very, very strong in the current game, and Kha'Zix is one of those ones that has found a lot of use in games, has pretty much carried games on his own. And we'll see whether they can get that to work out for them as well. This time Varus and Sona has been picked up for British Tea Time. Obviously Thresh has been banned out by British Tea Time, so they won't be able to have that aggressive hook lane, but Sona and Varus I would expect to see in a lane swap up to the top lane.
Well, Varus is expected. Smokey Lemon, again, mad props to him last game, did a great job. So picking up the Varus again, completely expected. But we are potentially going to see a Jarvan Leona pick up here for Animate. Leona has been locked in, and so has Jarvan. So that's a lot of CC at level 6. The team fight wise is going to be, if they can land the Cataclysm and the Leona ult on top of Varus's head, he could go down very quickly with the Kha'Zix jumping on top of him as well. Now, I was watching the stream that you and Spuddington were doing previously. We had a Kha'Zix, and I believe he actually evolved Q first, which seemed to backfire somewhat, so I'm quite curious to see how Mayhem approaches the Kha'Zix here.
Yeah, and Spuddington was talking a lot about how that's not too orthodox on a Kha'Zix. Now, something interesting, Smokey Lemon is hovering over Ezreal, so maybe they want to take away the Ezreal for that blue build. Now, that would be something we haven't seen all that much, as he actually swaps over to a Volibear, so I don't know exactly what they're going to go with. They have played Volibear a little bit, but Vince, you're a little bit ahead of me. Have they locked anything in yet?
They have. They've locked in the Volibear and the Rumble, so it's back over to Animate again. They are hovering over the Irelia again. Even though Vizic and of course Animate did lose game number 1, the Aurelia was pretty damn strong. She did a good job there at top lane. So if that gets locked in, wouldn't be too surprised against the Rumble. And Akamezz hasn't elected anything as of yet. So if they do go with the Aurelia, that's going to leave their AD carry up for choice. Looks like it could be an Ezreal once again. Actually, they've flipped over to Kennen. So Kennen will potentially be played top. But that being said, Kennen could be played in mid with Kha'Zix top. So they have this versatility, as you mentioned before, with Kha'Zix, where he could go top, he could go mid, maybe even the jungle. They've picked up the Ezreal though, so it's going to be an Ezreal Leona lane, and it is back over to British Tea Time once again.
Yeah, and sorry, I was about to say Ezreal. We've talked so much about blue build Ezreal. Kennen is a champion that has seen a lot of play over in the Asian scene, and especially over in OGN in Korea. A lot of the teams that have been playing Kennen, the reason behind it is not only does it have a lot of AoE damage, but he's great for protecting your backline. Those Marks of the Storms are going to lock when they tick up to 3, and that Slicing Maelstrom is going to apply so many marks so quickly that you are pretty much able to zone out an entire area from your opponents and lock them in place to do a lot of damage. So Cook My Sock has found himself on Ahri though, and that we said that in the first game British Tea Time got a little bit outpicked, and again Cook My Sock finds himself on one of his favourite champions.
I honestly feel whenever Ahri is free and Cook My Sock's playing, he's going to lock it in. I think it's just his go-to character at this point. Is so strong, it's unbelievable. And we have seen him on a plethora of other champions. A Twisted Fate that has been banned here, for example. I know he runs a pretty damn strong Diana too. So these are a lot of champions that come out for him. But Ahri, you know, again, he's going to go for the teleport flash. Works so well with the ganks. Are they going to try something similar with diving bot lane with 4 players strong? Only time will tell. But you do have both compositions locked in now. So it looks as though we're not going to have any switches around. So Mayhem is going to be playing the Kha'Zix in mid, with Vizic taking Kennen at top lane. As you said, very good point. Kennen is great for defending your back line. And I like the pickup of Ezreal here against Volibear, because Volibear, when he charges in, if you have the blue build Ezreal, it's so easy for you to kite him. He really does lose a lot of that scary factor of that massive bear rolling thundering you.
Yeah, and charm into that flip from Volibear is going to be a very difficult lane to pick people up from, and we'll see exactly where the pieces fall, because as you said, Kennen could be top lane. Looks like it's on Vizic, so that's where it's going to go. Mayhem in the mid lane. Does have that jump to escape, but if he gets caught in that taunt, it's going to be a difficult lane to escape, and we've seen how good Cook My Sock is at landing those charms. We will be back in just a couple of minutes, guys. Stick with us here on KoasTV for the EUS Challenger Series Week 4, Day number 2. Welcome back to the KoasTV EU West Challenger Series, week number 4, day number 2. This is potentially our last game of round number 1. Lots of numbers in there. I am Dignitas Stress, joined by Metas here for game number 2 between British Tea Time and Animate Esports. And British Tea Time found themselves ahead in game number 1. Will Animate be able to bounce back, Metas? And if so, how do you think they'll do it?
Well, I think it's definitely possible. They have a lot of AoE on their team. I mean, everybody other than Kha'Zix... Oh, actually, no, that's not even true. Kha'Zix has the Void Spikes if he evolves them, of course. So you've got a lot of AoE damage and CC. So if they can lock them up, you do have an Ahri. Cook my sock again, surprise, surprise on Ahri, that's going to be darting around. But Leona is pretty good at sorting that out alongside the cannon. As you said, once the marks are put down, if Ahri is spirit rushing around, could very well find herself stunned and then chain stunned into death. So I'm going to be interested to see if Cook My Sock actually goes for an early Zhonya's Hourglass here, or if he goes for the Deathfire Grasp that he did last time around. Rushed the Deathfire Grasp and got a Rabadon's Death Cap. So that's definitely one to watch out for. Doesn't look like we're going to have a great deal happening early on though, with both teams by and large just covering their own jungles.
Yeah, just starting out with those defensive positions, wards similar to what we normally see out of British Tea Time already. 2 pretty much guarding around the mid lane and 1 over at their own blue buffs. So they're going to keep track of any kind of invades coming from Animate, and looks like they might even go for that delayed invade once again, but it has been warded out by Animate, so they're going to be a little bit more aware of it this time.
Yeah, they've learnt from the mistakes of last time. This is what British Tea Time... I want to say I've seen them do this every single time, that they will delay the invade into blue buff, and you can instantly hear the pings going down here from Animate. They have spotted 4 player strong British Tea Time coming down. They're going to finish their wolves and then back on off. They must know the British Tea Time are in that bush. Indeed they will. So Kennen and Kha'Zix are going to just pull themselves back, not let themselves get caught here, and in the meantime you're going to have a counter invade coming out from Animate. So it's probably going to be a blue for blue here, and as Kha'Zix can do something sensational and steal the blue buff. I doubt that's going to happen though.
Yeah, and as you saw Kha'Zix, you said put down that ward, and now Animate are going to invade onto the blue buff of British Tea Time. So it's going to be a trade buff for buff, and they did have that ward there from earlier, so they knew exactly what was happening. Akilord even clears that camp out, so makes sure that it's going to respawn on pretty much a standard timer. There has been a lane swap out from British Tea Time. They're putting Varus and Sona up into top lanes. That's a lot of harass is going to come out from that lane, and they're going to be able to push fairly quickly. Akamezz on Leona, though, is going to be able to zone Nitrix out from the lane for quite a lot. And Rumble, while he can farm fairly well in a 2v1 lane with that Flame Spitter, still struggles when it's out past the bush area for his lane.
But Rumble does have the capabilities alongside a Volibear here to make something huge happen. He could turn this round and get a double kill for himself when Volibear comes down, with the Flame Splitter of course and the Electro Harpoon. So it's definitely one to watch for. Either way, JT Taylor is going to be lurking around mid, walks over a ward, so he knows exactly what's happening here, does Akilord, who also actually walked over a ward. So you're going to have potentially a 2 versus 3 at top lane. Jarvan's coming in to try and babysit. You have Volibear around the side here, so I don't think anything's going to kick off for the foreseeable future. And meanwhile at bot lane, Rumble is just being harassed.
Yeah, he's trying to farm through as best as he can with that Flame Spitter. Has himself a rejuvenation bead as well to try and keep himself a little bit healthy. Kennen might farm quite well himself. He's going to be able to use his Q, that Thundering Shuriken, or Shuriken, however you pronounce it, to farm through the wave. And Akilord has joined him there as well. He's actually going to go ahead, and sorry, I completely missed in the mid lane. Mayhem actually picking up the first blood on to Ahri. I'm glad you guys managed to catch that on stream. The flash was used out by Kha'Zix, managed to get that ignite and pick up the kill, so thankfully you saw it on stream while I was rambling about top lane.
Yeah, Kha'Zix burnt his flash and ignite. I think he flashed to secure the kill at the end there, and Ahri also burnt her flash. So it is a 2-for-1 summoner exchange, but Kha'Zix does not care about that. He got first blood. is going to be going back with just over 1,000 gold to his name. So of course he's going to finish off the tier of the goddess and also pick himself up a long sword alongside a ward. In the meantime, Ari is coming back with double cloth armor, which we will be building into Seeker's Arm Guard, I am assuming, when she goes back again. But you do have JNT Taylor coming down towards bot lane, so this is what I was talking about before. They could potentially make something happen. The Rolling Thunder and also the Scrap Shield is going to give both Volibear and Rumble a big amount of maneuverability, but it doesn't seem Volibear's too interested, going to be backing off. The other jungler, in the meantime, Akilord, is at top lane. And it's pretty much standard stress. Like, other than that first blood that went down, not a great deal's happened. It's just a farming frenzy with both lanes trying to push.
Yeah, and you can see Nitrix is forced to try and just use as many abilities to push himself out in the wave, and that's meaning that he's overheating fair amounts. Of course, Rumble is going to build up that heat that is comparable to an energy bar, and you can see that Taylor is coming down into the bottom lane, not quite able to get it. It's a little bit closer to rage rather than energy, actually. It's a cumulative thing, and once he reaches 100 out of 100, he's going to overheat, and that gives him a couple of different problems with the fact that he can't actually cast his abilities. Meanwhile, Akilord has stayed up around that top lane area just to hold it so that Yerostar and Smoky Lemon can't push on quite enough. Meanwhile, Taylor is trying to invade on the Wraiths, but Mayhem is there as well. The flip comes out. Taylor might be a little bit caught out here. Gonna flash over the wall. Charm not quite landing by Cook My Sock, and it looks like British Tea Time is just gonna retreat.
Yeah, so flash burn from Volibear. Again, that is going to... In fact, hold that thought for a second. We do have some action at top lane. Akilord and Vizic are going to be going. Flag and drag onto Smoky Lemon. Will be flashing his way towards the tower. And, well, no one is going to end up dying. But they did pop a summon a spell in the process. So, somewhat of a successful gank there from Akilord. He could rinse and repeat. He stood on top of a ward right now. And I'd expect Sona or Varus to maybe just give him a little tug there. There we go. Just gives him a little slap across the chops. And yeah, he will be pulling himself back to recall once again.
Well, I never. Give him a little tug. Cook My Sock heading on towards Mayhem in the mid lane. Couldn't quite land the charm. Taylor backs out of the lane as well. Mayhem trying to throw those Void Spikes out just to throw Cook My Sock away. And Cook My Sock's just going to blue pill out and head back to buy.
Yeah, you've got to be tugging on that Jarvan, dude. He's going to get away, but the top tower is going to be falling here. First blood on towers going into the hands of British Tea Time. Let's have a look at the health of the opposition tower. Actually, about halfway down. So, looking good for British Tea Time on the tower front. Kha'Zix is going to be trying to come and get the blue buff. Of course, it's going to be awesome alongside his tier of the goddess. You do have Varus recalling alongside Sona. Scumbag Cannon just cancelling the recall with the last second or two to go. So it's going to be delayed back there. Ari has picked up the Seeker's Arm Guard, as you'd expect, against the Kha'Zix in mid lane. And she has also hit 6. So will we see Cook My Sock roaming again? He has pretty much every single time he's played mid Ari. As soon as he hits 6, it's the go button. He will try and gank.
Yeah, and has that teleport available as well, so he's going to just get around the map as fast as possible, put as much impact on the game as he can. Varus has built that Bilgewater Cutlass. Ezreal this time rushing straight for that Spirit Stone to go into the Spirit of the Ancient, Spirit of the Elder Lizard, sorry. And rather than building that Bilgewater Cutlass himself first, so we'll see how that plays out. The bot lane partnership for British Tea Time is still up in that top lane area, and still wanting to shove that through as much as possible. Obviously they feel like Nitrix is doing a good enough job holding off the aggression from the bot lane partnership of Animate in Samwise and Akamezz.
So you do have Kha'Zix with the first blood and about 15, 16 CS advantage over Ari. Has a brutalizer already. That is going to be a lot of damage. Here comes Ari though towards top lane. Going to be meeting up with the Sona. Tries to charm her own character. That's quite interesting. But either way, you do have some pings going down towards bot lane. Ari and the duo will be switching up. So Ari's going to go top. You're going to have the AD carry. In fact, hold thought for a second. I just heard some serious damage going down at bot lane. Yeah, indeed. The bot tower will be falling. And they have managed to equalise that. But it's about 2 minutes too late. Here comes Kha'Zix though. He has been tanked up a bit. It's going to be going back on towards Sona. The brutalizer could be coming good here. He will take that one down. Turning all the voice spikes. Here comes Kenner from the backside. And they've just switched over. Ari could come in to clean up. JNT Taylor as well. This may not be necessarily the worst thing ever for British Tea Time. They have picked up 2. Will they be going on towards Jarvan? Overstaying their welcome. There's the solar flare and the true shot barrage. And My, that was a strange fight, Stress.
Yeah, and Animate looked like they won this one just a little bit more than the last time. They're now pressuring this mid tower a lot. They found themselves in a lot more of a confident position than they have been, and Taylor not all that phased by it, going to stand out behind the turret and just throw out a quick laugh. So showing that even though they're behind, British Tea Time not feeling the pressure quite yet. And Animate close in on Dragon.
Yeah, Animate are going to take this opportunity to try and pick up Drake. There is a pink ward down, so obviously British Tea Time know what the deal is, and Spirit Rush is not up for Ari. She is a mile away, so she's not going to be able to close the gap. But you do have Equalizer pop down from Nitrix though from the side. Could do enough to delay Dragon just for Ari to get back in. They're actually going to pick up the kill on towards Leona, turn around the Drake, pick it up, land the crescendo onto Samwise, who's forced to flash away. So British Tea Time, again, it looked like a free Drake for Animate. They just pop in, get a kill, and also a flash burn on Ezreal alongside the Drake.
Yeah, and again, British Tea Time feeling fairly confident in this. Animate start to, I want to say come back, but they took a lead, and British Tea Time bounced back, and now they look to pressure the mid. Another brilliant charm out of Cook My Sock, don't quite catch on for the kill though. Animate still looking strong. They do have the lead. If they can defend this turret, they'll remain in the gold lead, but yet they are just going to be able to force British Tea Time back as they run out of minions.
Yeah, so they have managed to put down some damage on towards mid tower, but they're going to pull themselves back as Animate do regain their composure and push mid again. Cannon against Varus at bot lane. Cannon is managing to zone Varus out for now. He does have, let's have a quick look at his items. A needlessly large rod first. That's interesting, doing a lot of damage, maybe into the early Zhonya's Hourglass. Is a really, really core item on Kennen, of course. You don't want to be jumping into their team, or indeed defending yours if you get burnt down in a heartbeat. Ari is going to come around the corner here. Samwise, he's popped up the barrier. Does Cook My Sock want to go back into this? There's a lot of creeps actually also attacking onto him. Saves that last Spirit Rush to actually jump back through the wall. But has he overextended himself here? He is behind enemy lines in no man's land. He could potentially try and recall here, but here comes Vizic from the side. Ari's going to try and make something special happen, something spectacular. The Q, the Shuriken just narrowly missing, but forcing the flash from Jarvan to secure that kill to make sure the execute didn't come about. So actually, Cook My Sock, you know, did get a minor consolation from that, burning the flash from Jarvan.
And it wasn't even just a minor consolation. The distraction was enough for British Tea Time to take down that mid tower. So now they swap the gold lead. It's only a small one, but now 300 gold in favour of British Tea Time. Animate, though, still looking strong here. They're hunting around for Taylor in the jungle, but he has backed off towards that mid lane. Nitrix, however, has to be a little bit careful as he positions himself to defend this upper tower. And Equalizer is actually used to burn through the wave, but it hasn't quite landed as square as he would have liked it. Now 4 members of Animate are up in this top lane, and Taylor and Eurostar are on their way. Cook My Sock trying to make it in from the back. Solar Flare has gone down and Nitrix gets melted, and British Tea Time look like they might just be backing away from this one. They did, however, take bottom tower.
Wow, Rumble's face just got melted clean off. Solar Flare followed by a plethora of damage. He's going to fall. As he said though, Smoky Lemon did manage to pick up that tower at bot, so you do have a 3-for-3 exchange on towers, but a 6-to-3 overall with just a 200 gold lead for Animate. So anybody's game right now. We do have a 2-for-3 scoreline on Cook My Sock. Is gone for a double Doran's rings alongside Sork shoes, so doesn't have an immense amount of items right now, but is recalling with about 600 gold. And on the flip side, you've got Kha'Zix, who has added another longsword to his arsenal and does have 1.3k or thereabouts. So he is looking very healthy and very, very scary at this point. He's about 30 CS over Ari on top of that.
Yeah, and we find that Liandry's Torment has been finished on Rumble, and Kennen actually has already got himself that Zhonya's Hourglass. I'm not sure if we'd mentioned that yet. I've only just noticed it myself. Might be a relatively new buy on him. And Nitrix clearing out that mid wave. Of course, that Liandry's is going to burn extra damage on every time he applies magic damage to an enemy. Will we see any kind of crazy attempts at Baron like we saw in the last game? Of course, British Tea Time took that 18.5-minute Baron after they had that Blade of the Rune King on Varus, as well as a few other things. They've got the itemization to maybe think about it if they get the right opening. That Liandry's and the Blade of the Rune King is going to do a significant amount of damage to the Baron if they choose to go for it. But I think they're in less of a comfortable position in this game. Not sure that we'll see that kind of risky play out of them this time round.
Yeah, as you mentioned, they're not quite as comfortable this time around. They're not as far ahead. In fact, they're slightly by a minuscule behind, just by 100 gold. So that they can't be as commanding and as confident in their ability to win a straight-up team fight on Baron as they were previously. If you have the Void Spikes flying across there from Kha'Zix, he has added a pickaxe and another longsword to his backpack, and he's going to do so much damage as soon as he jumps in there. Ari's going to try her best to farm up top, has added a blasting wand, so this isn't the usual kind of melt their faces, cook my sock that we've seen beforehand. Just hasn't quite worked out for her. That first blood from Kha'Zix, I think, may have put cook my sock in his place for the start of this game.
Yeah, we can see that it's a different style of playing for Yarostar as well. I know, a little insight for you guys, Yarostar has been trying to avoid playing Sona for a little bit, but has recently got into a groove of practicing his Sona play. So obviously taking it out for a game here in the EUS Challenger Series, and we'll see how comfortable he is on that. Has got a Cage's Lucky Pick alongside that Philosopher's Stone, so already getting himself a lot of gold. Let's see how much of an effect that's had, and actually that's a staggering effect here. That kill and the extra gold per 5 actually puts him about 900 gold over the support in Leona for Animate Esports, so that's a fair amount of gold for the difference between supports at this point into the game. Dragon spawns, pink wards go down. Actually, the teleport already coming out from Kennen here, and he's going to join the fight. Nitrix is going to be dropped very low. The flip behind by Taylor is going to keep Kennen away from most of the team. Smoky Lemon is so low but manages to stay alive, and there is the ace for 1 kill for British Tea Time.
Ouch, 5-to-1 exchange plus a Drake on top of that, and we're talking about how close this game was. 100 gold in it, suddenly blink of an eye you've got 2.6k gold and lots of happy carries all around. So pretty scary stuff. Blade of the Ruined King kept Varus alive in that fight. He did pop it very near his death, so well played to Smoky Lemon once again. It was a bit of a strange fight though. Kennen came in, popped his ultimate, the Slicing Maelstrom, on top of 3 or 4 of the opposition, but he went down so fast. Even as soon as he came out, his on his hourglass was popped down in a heartbeat. So a bit of a sad story there for Animate, but they're going to try and brush themselves down and come back stronger. It's also another thing to mention here, Stress, is it's not just a case of a revenge match between these two, with British Tea Time being the champions of the EUS Challenger Series. They haven't dropped a single game in the EUS Challenger Series for at least 2 weeks. So Animate could be the first to do that today.
That is a very good point. We actually didn't see them lose at all last week. Even when they got a little bit behind, they found their composure, came back into the game. And British Tea Time are just looking very strong right now. As you said, in the last 2 weeks have not dropped a game here in the EUS Challenger Series. We'll see whether Animate can turn that around though. They still have a lot of potential for this game. Ezreal is down in the bottom lane, however, and they're pushing on towards this mid turret. Not quite sure this is exactly what they want to do, because there's so much of counter-engage potential, and Cook My Sock is looking for it. Foxfire popped. He's already on the prowl. Can he use that Spirit Rush? Does use it, doesn't quite land the charm. Will back off as well. So Animate maybe getting a little bit lucky that that charm didn't quite land.
91-second cooldown on the Ari ultimate there, so it's going to give Animate a bit more confidence to be slightly more aggressive. Samwise is going to be joining his comrades, pushing this mid lane. Void Spikes go out again, nice poking tool there, just trying to keep British Tea Time in their place, and I think this is one of the closer games you've seen British Tea Time in the tournament so far. They haven't came under a lot of pressure. Here comes Equalizer though. Oh, the fail jump from Mayhem, jumping on top of the Equalizer. We're going to have the Slicing Maelstrom coming through. Equalizer does claim the kill of Leona. Kennen pops out the Slicing Maelstrom just to find himself getting flamed at from Rumble, who picks up his 2nd kill, and now Samwise on very full health, but his two compadres are near enough dead, and Samwise does not have a great deal of mana, so he can't hope to re-engage this. He's going to run back. As you can see, Mayhem recalling and Jarvan running back to spawn, so this could very well be... I think British Teton have a choice. They could potentially push down the mid or try and clear the jungle. And it looks like they're going to just try and clear the jungle for now with... that's one of their players. Leona has resurrected and Kennen is doing so as well. So still a nice team victory for British Tea Time and a strangely sloppy engage from Animate. Kazakh's jump got him killed. He jumped back into the equalizer. He was trying to jump over the wall, but it just didn't work out.
Yeah, and that lane was so far pushed up for Animate, it was right up towards this inner tower, that's the reason why British Tea Time couldn't quite capitalise on that as they would have liked. There was no minions with them, and they can choose to face tank a turret, but the turret is just under full health. It's only missing a couple of hundred health off that, so they could have chosen to do it, but then they risk the counter-engage out of Mayhem, out of Samwise. They would have had just about enough time to have got back healed up and got back into the fight. So, you know, British Tea Time playing it safe, obviously. They know they're now ahead after those two good team fights, but they don't want to let that lead slip away from them.
Yeah, very true. There's no reason to be too ballsy and to be too aggressive and get punished for it. So, yeah, British Tea Time playing it safe, better safe than sorry, pull themselves back, make sure they don't give Animate a whiff, a glimmer of hope to get back into this game. It's still relatively close. I mean, it's not a landslide. Having said that, Eurostar has just managed to flash away there, burning both the Solar Flare and True Shot Barrage on Animate to try and secure that kill. So that's two fairly important. Ultimate's going down. Equalizer has been popped there, slowing everybody down. Leona's going to get Chain of Corruption as well. Jane T. Taylor's right behind. Smoky Lemon claims the kill. And that's, as soon as Solar Flare went down, you could almost sense that British Tea Time wanted to make something happen.
Yeah, and Kennen's teleport is not quite available. Mayhem's actually going to get deleted from the map as they protect Eurostar there. And with Kennen not available to teleport in, this is going to be another tower down in favour of British Tea Time, and they'll finally get that inner mid tower after they couldn't quite get it on the last team fight.
Yeah, exactly. Better safe than sorry comes good there. And I can't help but feel that Animate, they put too many eggs in the basket of killing Eurostar on Sona. They popped down the Solar Flare and the True Shot Barrage, didn't secure the kill. She flashed out of it at the end, and after that point, you know, you have to say Animate were very much vulnerable. The Equalizer went down, and British Tea Time were hungry to go for the jugular. That's exactly what they did, picking up 2 kills in. Kazakhs was a bit aggressive as well. But we are going to have the Cataclysm going down onto Eurostar. True Shot Barrage comes through. They have finally got their man, and forcing the flash from Smoky Lemon. Samwise very, very aggressive here. He's going to be chasing after. Barrier has been popped. It's a 1v1 duel to the death here between the AD carries and Scumbag Jarvan comes in to ruin that one, and will pick up the kill for Samwise. So Animate are getting a few picks here, Stress, but that being said, British Tea Time is starting off Baron.
And again, they're a team that, we've said it many times, they are just gonna take Baron. If they feel like they've got the opportunity, there's Baron. It's how they're gonna go, and they'll walk over that ward. Animate will sigh, realize what's going on, and that 2 kills is not gonna be worth the trade for Baron buff on 3 members of British Tea Time.
So yeah, it was Eurostar and Smoky Lemon who fell, but they really don't care. They got the Baron buff, and now they're going to be coming back strong. Eurostar has just been caught from a Shuriken courtesy of Kennen. They're going to push down this mid, so a minor bit of gold back into the hands of Animate, who do find themselves about 5.5k gold behind overall. True Shot Barrage goes down towards bot lane, maybe trying to push that one out there. Drake has respawned again. You're going to have some pings going down from British Tea Time, who look like they want to try and pick this one up. And with 3 players with Baron buff, Animate aren't even going to want to think about trying to contend this. They do have a ward down though, so perhaps Akilord on Jarvan can try and make something happen. Smart that British Tea Time, seeing Akilord, will pull the Drake out of its pit there, so it's harder for Jarvan to steal, and he will pull himself back. So that's going to be another global objective in the hands of British Tea Time.
Yeah, and they're really showing us over the last week and a half that that's what they do well. They will control the global objectives, and regardless of whether they're ahead or behind, they'll find these little areas where they can just sneak an advantage and pretty much rip it open and tear the team across the map. And that's the sign of a team that, you know, are well composed within their team play and the way they play with the other members on their team. Animate, though, still hanging in there. They, you know, they're taking the towers down where they can. They made sure they picked up that inner tower in the mid lane. Will they be able to find another advantage anywhere on the map? That's what they're looking for, but right now they're pretty much just playing the receiver here, because British Tea Time are the ones that are on the aggressive.
And there's not much Animate can do about that. Power item was finished off previously for KoasTV. He finally got the Zhonya's Hourglass. Going to give him a bit more survivability plus damage on top of that, of course. Is, speaking of which, going to be recalling right now. You do have an Aegis of the Legion alongside a Locket of the Iron Solari on Volibear. And let's have a look. Oh, actually, Ari just picked up a needlessly large rod as well. So could be going for the Rabadon's Death Cap next. Maybe an Abyssal Scepter. Only time will tell. Ezreal actually fires out the True Shot Barrage there. Getting Eurostar very low, tries to finish off the kill, not quite going to land. It would have been a nice pickup though, because Eurostar has the Oracles, but too little too late, and wasn't able to pick that one up.
Yeah, Nitrix and Taylor now pressing on towards that bottom tower. And as you said, important buys on to KoasTV. Has that Zhonya's Hourglass. He's going to keep her alive during those team fights. Over on the side for Animate Esports, it looks like Ezreal has finished that Blade of the Ruined King and the Spirit of the Elder Lizard. Picked himself up a pickaxe as well, so going towards the Last Whisper. But again, they're delaying that Iceborne Gauntlet. And while getting Iceborne Gauntlet earlier doesn't really provide Ezreal with all that much damage, it gives them the utility aspect of the blue build Ezreal. And that is what makes it so very efficient in the mid game. And it just looks like Samwise delaying it just for flat damage, and KoasTV and Mayhem trading again. And normally you'd see a Kha'Zix just rip somebody from the map, but KoasTV's pretty much just waiting for the jump to hit the Zhonya's, but he decides to go on the aggressive himself. Gonna burn that Lunar Rush, takes down Mayhem very, very low, only about 40 health left after that little trade. Cataclysm has been used. Akilord didn't quite catch on towards it. Charm, while in the Lightning Rush onto Vizic, pulled him in, but that's a Cataclysm down, and that's not really something that Animate are going to be all that happy about.
Yeah, also Kha'Zix did burn his flash, very narrowly escaping death there. We do have a pause coming in, and while we have this lull in the action stress, I just want to pass over a question to you. We are 26.5 minutes through this, British Tea Time taking another commanding lead. What, if anything, can Animate do to bring themselves back in this game, in your opinion? Or is it too little? Is it too late, sorry, to actually bring this one back in your eyes?
They have to just wait this game out a little bit. There's no Baron buff now for British Tea Time. It did run out about a minute ago. 22 minutes 31 is when it went down. So we're expecting it at the 29:31 time stamp. British Tea Time, though, are a team that are pretty difficult to deal with when they get into a position like this. Animate have played them enough, so they kind of are used to the way they play, but Animate now just have to try and get Ezreal to a point where he has that Iceborne Gauntlet around the rest of his items, because then they can start picking people off at the front of team fights. They need to be very careful that when KoasTV goes in, he doesn't just carve through them like a hot knife through butter, and as of yet that is exactly what he's been doing. This game is unpaused, and now I'm just going to make sure I jump to live.
Yeah, likewise, I've just jumped to live there. I'm quite interested. I'm actually looking at Animate right now, and they don't have a bulwark. So they're not building a bulwark against the Ari, which you do have the components being built up here from Jarvan. He has the Emblem of Valor, the Ruby Crystal, and the Null Magic Mantle, which of course are components of Aegis of the Legion. But they're not going for the bulwark, and I can't help but feel that in team fights, having Ari dashing around, high magic damage, that may just help them survive long enough to repel an attack and actually make it work in their favour.
Yeah, they're a fair way from that Aegis being completed. Jarvan's only carrying about 400 gold, so still has to buy another Negatron Cloak, and then the recipe cost for both the Aegis and the Bulwark on top of that. KoasTV is going down to the bottom lane to push that through as well, but with that tower on quite as low health as it is, Solar Flare's actually going to come out. They did get a ward down, that's a very important thing. The teleport is already channeling. Taylor gets stunned in Tribush, dropped very low. Yarostar is actually taken out. Mayhem, here comes KoasTV. Zhonya's Hourglass used to avoid the damage from the Orb of Deception, but it is not going to be enough. KoasTV appears, 2 people get removed from the map, and that is Akilord, the only man standing, and he's getting chased away by Eurostar up in this top lane.
And the majority of those kills went down before Ari had even finished teleporting. So that was a 4v5 for the majority of that fight. You do have Akilord trying his best to run away from Eurostar, but in doing so, he's just basically allowing British Tea Time to take another tower here. Not that there would probably be anything he could do if he was in play. So top tower will be falling very soon. Again, they're going to play safe here. Ezreal's respawned, Kha'Zix is respawned, Kennen's up in 3 seconds. They're not going to claim the inhib. While Jarvan has actually gone back. So again, we had a team fight 4-for-1 trade, I believe, at the end of that, and British Tea Time going from strength to strength. They now have even more global pressure, being 2 towers up on Animate.
And I can only imagine the reaction from Eurostar right there. The fight happened in the top lane, about midway up the lane for Jarvan when he started escaping. He actually ran all the way through the jungle being chased by Eurostar down to the low tri-bush on red side, and that's where he finally got out with a recall. I think Eurostar's probably going to laugh himself to sleep with that tonight.
Well, Jarvan is a pretty tough guy to keep up with because of his flag and drag. He can do it over the wall, so he's not the easiest character to be hunting down. But I just had a quick look towards British Tea Time's items and just saw 2 needlessly large rods built. So Rumble is very, very scary. He has very much core items on Leander's Torment and also Lorelei's Crystal Scepter, plus the fact that he pretty much has a pick of whatever he wants. He could go for something like his Hourglass, could potentially go for Rablan's Death Cap, but either way, as I'm waffling on, you do have some wards being taken down here from both teams. Oracles on both supports, so trying their best to clear that vision out. But British Tea Time in a straight up brawl right now would definitely claim the scalp of Animate unless something went horribly, horribly wrong for them. So you have to feel that Animate just have to turtle this one out, Stress, for the next few minutes at least.
Yeah, they have to just kind of wait this out. They're trying to get as much vision on that Baron area as they could. They have managed to stick a couple of wards in there, but British Tea Time find themselves in front of Dragon once again at 30 minutes into the game. 16 kills to 10 in favour of British Tea Time, and they're about 12,000 gold ahead, so I wouldn't be surprised to see British Tea Time actually just look for the fight here and try and just force their opponents out of the game. British Tea Time looking very strong once again.
Yeah, definitely. We do have a ping down at the bot lane here from the purple team of British Tea Time. Blue is going to be taken again. I assume that Kha'Zix will be donated this one. Of course, he has finished off the Muramana, has all the stacks from the Tear of the Goddess, has a Last Whisper and another Brutalizer. And the Brutalizer, so maybe going towards Black Cleaver with that one. But either way, still no Bulwark finished off on Jarvan. Has 120 gold, still needs a Null Magic Mantle and then the additional gold from that. So he's going to be a fair amount off right now. Recalls coming in from British Tea Time. And I'm especially surprised they don't have a Bulwark. You know, I know I'm harping on about this, but we're now 31 minutes through the game, nearly 31 and a half. No Bulwark against an Ari and a Rumble is a head scratcher to me. I don't really understand why you wouldn't pick that one up as one of your first items.
Yeah, especially as you said against that double AP composition and alongside that lack of the Bulwark. Again, I know I'm harping on about it, but this lack of an Iceborne Gauntlet on Ezreal doesn't give him that 40% maximum cooldown reduction that he can get to from that Glacial Shroud. Also doesn't make him as tanky as he'd like to be. I know obviously they're going up against a heavy AP team, but that Chain Vest goes quite a way to making Ezreal fairly tanky, and really that's the way you end up controlling the game is with that proc from Iceborne Gauntlet. I mean, the damage is nice from the Last Whisper, Blade of the Rune King, and Spirit of the Elder Lizard, but it doesn't quite give the utility that Ezreal is looking for quite yet.
So, upon looking a bit harder here, I will quickly switch over to this team fight for kicks off because both teams are very, very close to each other. Upon looking further though, I've noticed Jarvan has half of the farm, literally half of the farm of his counterpart in the jungle, so it could definitely be one of the reasons why the Bulwark hasn't been finished off, because he purely hasn't had enough money to do so. And the fact that he hasn't been involved in as many kills, and the global gold as well, is very much in the favour of British Tea Time. So perhaps that's one of the reasons why, of course, you can't expect your support to pick up the Bulwark first, because it just costs so much money. And Leona did go for the Shurelya's Reverie first. Ari going to be split pushing again. The teleport is up. They're going to be going very hard onto Eurostar. Burnt an ultimate there. Nice crescendo though. Equalizer's been used as well. Void Spike's narrowly missing out. The Mystic Shot does land right at the death. So they've got their pick. Can they convert this though? Because KoasTV very aggressively, again, they lose a player. Let's try and take global objectives, guys. Let's try and make that weakness a strength. Pushing down this tower, has a couple minions behind her, now another wave behind her, and you can see that Animate are kind of caught in two minds. They've got some players staying around, some players recalling, then changing their mind. Kha'Zix is coming towards bot lane. They've picked up this bot tower though, so that kill basically transitioned into a tower for British Tea Time. They seem absolutely masterful at this play.
Yep, and once again, they see somebody down in that bottom lane that wasn't there earlier. They ping straight away onto Baron. Let's get it done. And that Liandry's on Rumble is going to go so quickly through Baron as well as the Blade of the Ruined King. They have to be careful though, because Akilord is around. They know he's there. They're trying to just get as much vision on him. And the teleport out and the jump in from Mayhem is going to be enough to make British Tea Time stop doing the Baron. And this time it looks like it might have backfired on them. Last week we saw an epic backdoor out of KoasTV, and he's actually teleported in straight into 4 members. Miscommunication from one of the first times we've seen this out of British Tea Time, and they've let Animate have an inch and they're running a mile because now they're starting on the Baron for themselves.
I am surprised that KoasTV could go in afterwards, because he was just met by, CC Train, and there's nothing he could do about that. Sona's trying his best, Eurostar's trying his best to make something happen here. He will be going down, but can they pick up kills afterwards? No, JNT Taylor will be falling for the double kill. So that was basically a 1-for-5 exchange overall. And on top of that, it is going to be a Baron as well. So before this fight was looking, we were asking each other, how can Animate stave themselves off? How can they stay in this game? The answer, just by catching British Tea Time with their pants down. Kennen actually teleported onto the ward there around Baron. I'm not sure if he caught it on the stream. And he's slicing Maelstrom on top of Varus's face. Up until this point, they had a very good peeling for Varus, but because Varus was basically all by his lonesome, he got completely crushed by Kennen. After that, they just took Ezreal to pick up everybody. He's now moved to 7-2. He now has a lot of good items, and this could be the start of the comeback, Stress.
Yeah, the comeback may indeed be on. You look at the amount of wards that are around that Baron area. Holy moly, there's a lot. And you kind of think that now Animate will be breathing a sigh of relief, because they just took down Baron and aced the team that have been in the lead. And that'll be great for them and great for their morale now. They need to make sure they keep on top of this momentum. For us, with the fortunate ability to look at the spectator overlay, shows us that in fact they're still 9,000 gold behind here, and that's still a considerable amount. But momentum is a very important aspect in League of Legends. If you can get that confidence on your side, make sure that you take the right fights and play to the best of your ability, you can turn games around like this. And we just saw Animate land that ace from poor decision making out of British Tea Time, but British Tea Time do still have the lead here.
I couldn't agree more with what you said. Momentum is king in League of Legends. It's all about momentum. Both teams, I'm pretty sure, having looked at the globals, having looked at how many Drakes British Tea Time have picked up, speaking of which, surprise, surprise, they're going for another one, will probably know that Animate are behind. But Animate have just built a lot of confidence and items. Financially, they're behind, but maybe psychologically, they're slightly ahead right now after that fight, because it did go horribly wrong for British Tea Time. Having said that, though, they have to keep this up. Animate can't afford to slip up right now. If they slip up one time, it could be the GG. They're back onto their inhib towers. They have no outer towers at all. Their top inhib tower is down. It's very much bare and ready and ripe for the taking. So Animate have to carry this momentum going forward, Stress, or they'll find themselves 2-0 down in the series.
Yeah, and speaking of momentum, Ezreal, now that he's finished that Iceborne Gauntlet, is going to be able to sap the momentum from British Tea Time. Every time he lands one of those auto attacks or the Mystic shots, it's going to apply that Iceborne Gauntlet proc, provided he used an ability, to allow that sheen to proc onto it. And that is going to give that aura where it's going to reduce movement speed by 30%, which is a considerable amount in this mid and late game. Anytime they can catch on towards that, it means they're going to be able to pick somebody off quite easily, especially with champions like Kha'Zix and a champion like Leona who's going to want to land that Zenith Blade.
Yeah, and also another thing that we should mention is that gold is all well and good, and you can see the top of your screen, still about 10k, but at some point in the game, gold is going to become less and less important. When the items are being finished, when you get your 6 item builds out there from the AP and AD carries and the junglers and everything else, the gold will simply not matter anymore. It's going to lose its value. So that's another thing to keep in mind as we go forward in this matchup. Before the whole Baron debacle left for British Tea Time, you didn't have a lot of items on the AD and AP carry from Animate. They have picked them up now. Kha'Zix has finished off the Black Cleaver, is looking scary, has a Chain Vest and a Null Magic Mantle that he may very well build into a Guardian's Angel. So again, even though they're behind on gold, it's definitely anybody's game right now.
Yeah, and British Tea Time are playing a little bit more scared than they were earlier. You can tell in the way they're pushed out in lane. They're making sure that they're not all that far out. I mean, even Cook My Sock, with that ward over by the dragon area, is choosing not to push this lane out far enough. And they have to be thinking what went wrong on that Baron fight. They're just trying to find their composure, and I don't think they realise quite how ahead they are financially in this game.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why the Baron fight went so awry is because Cook My Sock didn't teleport in instantly. He had to teleport up and was more seemingly interested in pushing the bot lane. Teleported after the fight had already happened, and well, the rest is history. He got completely insta-gibbed as soon as he came off the ward. So maybe just teleporting in a tiny bit earlier would have helped his team. Either way, there's two ways of looking at it. You can say, okay, British Tea Time made a big screw up, and there's another way of saying, oh, Animate did a really good job. And I think it's a mixture of both. Animate saw their opportunity, they pounced, and they did it perfectly. And they definitely deserved their chance at this game. As you said though, you can see in the movement from British Tea Time, they don't feel as confident anymore. They don't feel as ahead anymore. It's reflected in the sense that nobody in their team is past the halfway mark on the river, with JT Taylor and Smoky Lemon just making that leap right now.
Yeah, and they get to that point and JT Taylor is going to recall out. Like, they are so afraid right now of being caught out by Animate, and Baron is going to be spawning in about a minute and a half. I think that is about the timer on it. And we'll see how British Tea Time react to it. Normally they're very quick to pounce on a Baron, and Nitrix and Yerostar now for the first time in a while pushing out past that halfway mark on the map. Just making sure that their wave is out. Cook My Sock, once again, it looks like he's found a little bit of his confidence, has headed down into that bottom lane to push it all the way up towards the base of Animate Esports. But both teams just playing cautious now. They know we're into that stage of the game where one team fight will pretty much win the game. We're looking at 50 to 60 second respawn timers on anybody that drops. So it's a tentative point in this game for both of them, and both of the teams just want to play it out carefully.
Indeed, one slip up in the last 41 minutes have not meant a great deal, and again, both teams very, very cautious, just farming up, and again, that's going to mean that the gold starts to lose its value. We're seeing more items being built up around the map. You have a Deathfire Grasp and a Void Staff on Ari as well, added to the Rabadon's Deathcap and Zhonya's. I was curious where the Needlessly Large Rod would go before from Rumble. The answer is a Zhonya's Hourglass. It is a counter to Kha'Zix after all. He can't be jumping on you and crushing your face if you can just disappear for a couple of seconds. He also has picked up a Guardian's Angel, so lots of survivability for both teams, because obviously, I said before, Kha'Zix had the components for a Guardian's Angel. He has gone ahead and finished that off. Just saw a Riley's Crystal Scepter being finished off on Kennen as well. So this next fight, Stress, is going to be epic. Where is it going to happen though? Baron?
It's going to happen at Baron, because Baron has just spawned and you can feel the tension starting to rise. Cook My Sock slipping himself down into that bottom lane once again. They're going to want to delay it until he can push it all the way up towards the Nexus and probably bring one of them back. Kennen's teleport is actually on cooldown. He just teleported.
Yeah. I didn't actually notice that, but you raise a very good point. His teleport's down.
I'm wondering whether they made the call to come up to Baron and then he manually cancelled it somehow. I'm not exactly sure what happened there, but that is a massive, massive factor in this game.
And because of course Ari can now afford to split push and make things happen, whereas Kennen has to be on point. He can't go and defend now, and Baron has been started. They know Kha'Zix is in his jungle, they know Ezreal's still mid. Baron's going down very fast. Here comes KoasTV. Equalizer has been popped down. Crescendo on top of the Equalizer, but only really catching the support there. We are going to have a full engage. Volibear's taking down Baron. Massive amounts of damage going on to Smoky Lemon, but he is split off from the rest of his team. Ari's trying her best to dodge around. Varus gets a double kill. Is going to get the triple kill here. In fact, no, he won't. Kha'Zix neutralizes him, snuffs him out. Now going to try and escape. Guardian's Angel has been popped. It's a 3-for-4 situation overall on kills right now, with just Kha'Zix surviving. Here comes the Electro Harpoon, forcing the flash from Mayhem. 2 versus 1. JNT Taylor's trying his best to catch up with Kha'Zix, but not able to do so. And we said it'd be epic, but my god, that was balls to the wall from both teams.
Yeah, both teams, I want to say trading somewhat evenly, but with that extra man overlap here, now Nitrix and Taylor are going to pressure on towards this inhibitor. Kha'Zix does have, I want to say he's got a home guard. Yes, he does have home guard boots. I had to tab my screen back so that I had the items on it. That will be the inhibitor, but that's going to be it now for British Tea Time. They don't have any of their massive damage dealers. They don't have Smoky Lemon to push through the turrets fast enough, so they settled for an inhibitor. They did take the Baron as well, and the thing that happened in that fight was the very preemptive teleport in from KoasTV. As soon as they saw Kha'Zix down towards that bot lane, teleport came in straight away. Kha'Zix had to join the tail end of the fight, and is a lot of the reason why he's still alive. And Smoky Lemon couldn't quite stay alive there. Samwise traded quite well at the back with KoasTV, though they managed to take each other out of the fight in the end.
Yeah, so just to have a quick overview of the game, you definitely say British Tea Time are ahead, not just financially but also global presence-wise. They have the top inhib down. They also have 2 Baron buffs on both Rumble and Volibear, so next team fight may want to try and force this one, because Rumble is already very, very much a threat with the amount of damage. He's just picked up a needlessly large rod, so he's going to be going for Rabadon's death cap next. The amount of damage he's going to do is unbelievable. Another Drake. I've actually lost count of how many Drakes that is now stressed to British Tea Time, but I'm going to go ahead and guess 4 or 5 at least.
It's a lot, I can tell you that
it's a lot, yeah. That's a better way of probably describing it's a lot. So yeah, they're looking very strong. Do you think they're going to try and force a fight while they still have 2 Baron buffs up, or are they just going to wait for that perfect opportunity to strike?
Now, I think what they're going to do is, with that inhibitor down in the top lane, obviously, that's going to be forcing super minions into the base. They do now have 2 already stacked up, about to hit this minion wave, so they're going to be starting to push in towards the base fairly frequently. Kennen is going up to meet that all the way out there. If British Tea Time can focus their efforts on a mid or a bot lane right now, they might be able to get a second inhibitor down, but they're going to have to fight for it, because Animate are going to want to hold on to it as best as they can. Smoky Lemon and KoasTV are drifting down towards this red buff, seeing if it's there, but the whole of British Tea Time are headed down towards that bottom lane. KoasTV throws the charm into the bush. It was warded, so they'll see that effect go through, but British Tea Time focusing their efforts down on the bottom lane while they know Kennen is dealing with super minions in the top lane. And Kennen's not the best champion for dealing with super minions either. He's pretty much only got the ability when he's got that lightning rush and his electrical surge available to do a lot of AoE damage. And British Tea Time, recognizing this now, find themselves pushing a minion wave up towards this lower tower.
Yeah, you feel that the team fight is just around the corner, edge of the seats, on a razor's edge right now. Both teams, you've got the Morello Nomicon actually picked up from Sona, so she's even getting in on the damage action here. Has an Oracle's cleaning out the wards. They're pretty decent clear though from the team of Animate, so any creep wave that's coming down is being forced back with the void spikes from Kha'Zix and the mystic shots coming out plentiful from Ezreal. Going to be thinking about this one again. You have to feel that the maybe go button is going to be pushed as soon as KoasTV lands a charm here. If they can land it onto Ezreal or someone that's squishy, they'll probably pounce on top of them with a chain of corruption and everything else and throw the kitchen sink at Animate. Constant harassment coming down from the Electro Harpoon of Rumble. And it looks like both teams are going to make something happen very shortly. Solarflare has been popped down there. Not too sure about that engage, because here comes Ari from the side. AD carry's going to get popped there. Zoni's Hourglass has been used as well. And now you're going to have British Tea Time going very aggressive. Kha'Zix trying his best to make something happen, but I can't help but feel that Solarflare may have just been the final nail in the coffin. I don't understand that engage stress. worst case scenario from British Tea Time there is that Cook My Sock gets blown up, but then everybody on the team of Animate pops their flashes just to engage. What happened?
And that puts British Tea Time last week 2-0, 2-0, 3-0. This week they start off with another 2-0 over their rivals Animate Esports. They get their revenge for I-48 and they're looking strong heading towards round 2 now of the EUS Challenger Series. To dissect a little bit at the end of that game, I think the thought process behind that solar flare was they knew they had super minions catching on their base. They have two decisions. They either go for the team fight and try and catch out as best as they can, or they go and send somebody to defend and receive the team fight. They caught out Cook My Sock with the solar flare, but there was no follow-up. They couldn't get on top of it, and Cook My Sock took that point, went over the wall, just melted Ezreal from the map, and picked up the win for themselves. So British Tea Time looking very strong